"Your report is garbage," my supervisor said, hitting delete in front of the team. I watched my file vanish, then picked up my phone. "I'll take the $500,000 to join your firm." I was 2 minutes into my lunch break when Crystal called everyone to the floor. "Training session," she said, like it wasn't a full-on ambush. The big screen flickered on. My name sat at the top of the first slide in bold. "Zelda's Client Engagement Tracker," Crystal announced, smirking. Or, as I like to call it, a year's worth of time-wasting trivia. I froze. My sandwich was still in my hand, halfway unwrapped. Everyone, all 25 of them croissants, turned to look at me. I didn't move. She started clicking through the slides. Birthdays, client notes, driver preferences, notes I'd collected quietly, off-script, after hours sometimes. Stuff no one asked me to track. Stuff that made clients stay. Crystal kept going. "This one's my favorite," she said, highlighting a comment. "Client's daughter just started chemo. Be gentle on the late fee call." Then she laughed. Half the room looked down. The other half watched her, dead silent. "You people think this is good client work," Crystal said, eyes scanning the crowd. "This is emotional babysitting. Logistics isn't therapy." Then she backed out of the folder. Delete. I swear to God she hit the key like she was killing a spider. The screen blinked. Everything disappeared. A full year of work, gone. "No need to clutter up the drive with fluff," she said. "Let's stick to real metrics next quarter." Nobody said a word. Not even the guy who once asked me to help him write a sympathy email to a client whose warehouse burned down. I caught his eye. He looked away. "Before we go on, quick note. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." I stood there, chest tight, fingers twitching. My mouth was dry, but my palms were damp. I felt hot, embarrassed, furious, a little dizzy. Then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A no number. I almost didn't answer. I almost let it ring out of spite, but something made me swipe. "Zelda Winters, speaking. This is Chloe Banner from Forward Loop Logistics. We've been following your client retention work at Talvex. Would you have a moment to talk?" Opportunity? My brain was still trying to catch up. Chloe kept talking. "What happened just now? That was a gift. I think you know what I'm talking about." She was calm, steady, like she knew I'd pick up that call before I even did. I stepped toward the glass door, nodding, even though no one could see me. My hands were shaking, but I pushed through. "Yeah," I said. "I have a moment." And I walked out of the room while Crystal was still talking. I stepped outside, still on the call with Chloe, and leaned against the brick wall next to the dumpster. My pulse was ridiculous, like I'd just outrun something with teeth. She said she'd follow up later that afternoon. I said sure. Then I hung up, locked my phone, and shoved it deep into my jacket pocket like it might explode. I had no idea that call would flip my whole life sideways. But if I was being honest, the real shift started way before that. About 18 months earlier, I joined Talvex Freight Systems as a dispatch associate. First week on the job, I almost quit from boredom. Route tracking, ticket logs, delivery confirmations. Rinse, repeat, get yelled at for stuff you couldn't control. Crystal was already my supervisor back then. Ran the place like a factory line. If something wasn't in the manual, you didn't touch it. Didn't ask. Didn't mention it. I learned fast. Don't improvise. Just punch in. Shut up, punch out. But I started noticing something. Drivers would call in with the same crap. Wrong warehouse hours, broken scanners, late pickups, and nothing ever got fixed. Tickets went unresolved. Same issues every week. Some clients would call to say deliveries were off or drivers were rude. Nobody followed up. Everyone just assumed they'd keep coming back. Except they didn't. We lost 2 mid-size accounts my second month. No exit interviews. Just gone. Crystal's answer. Not a good fit anyway. But I couldn't stop thinking about what they actually said. The woman from Eaglewood Floral mentioned that our guys kept forgetting to ring the side bell instead of the front. That was it. Dumb little stuff. But it mattered to them. So I opened a new tab on my dashboard. Didn't tell anyone. Started logging things the system didn't care about. Repeat complaints. Family stuff drivers brought up on calls. Weird warehouse notes. Customer quirks. Just for myself so I could maybe stop problems before they started. One driver said his daughter was graduating. Asked for Friday off. The system flagged it as a request conflict, but I remembered it. Reassigned him without a word. He came back Monday with donuts. Another client mentioned her dog had surgery and missed a delivery window. I sent her a quick, "Hope he's doing okay" in the notes. She sent back 3 hearts. I don't even like dogs. People thought I was just chatty. One guy in routing called me Dispatcher Oprah. But then it shifted. Clients started asking for me directly. Not every time, but enough. They knew I'd remember if their dock guy was on vacation. They knew I wouldn't talk to them like they were just a delivery number. Crystal caught wind of it pretty quick. "Don't waste time on side chatter," she snapped one morning. "You're not a therapist." I nodded. Didn't stop. What pissed her off most? I didn't need to sell anything. I wasn't discounting rates or throwing out freebies. I was just actually listening. I didn't stop. I just got quieter about it. The more I logged, the more it made sense. I started checking in on driver families, noting little stuff. A kid starting college, a sick dog, a warehouse manager retiring. Didn't take much, just a sentence or two. One Tuesday, I was going through missed ticket confirmations when our oldest ice cream distributor, Marty Preston, called in. Said his order looked off. He sounded off too, tired. Kind of out of it. While we talked, he let it slip. "My old man passed last week." That's all he said. Not even a pause after it. Just kept talking like it was weather. After the call, I pulled up his client profile. Added a line. "Father passed away. Don't push next week's billing." Then I did something Crystal would have fired me for. I sent a handwritten card. Just said, "Thinking of you and your family. From Zelda at Talvex." A month later, Marty signed on for our seasonal express lane. Premium rate. No discounts. No push. Just signed the paper and said, "Glad you're still here." That's when I knew I wasn't guessing anymore. This was working. The next big one was the vineyard. Pamela Torres ran this tiny boutique winery up in Oregon. Real high maintenance. Shipment delays pissed her off more than anything. She'd once threatened to switch to FedEx because a pallet of tasting kits arrived chipped. We had a rough month. Weather messed with her route. She sent in a complaint. I followed up fast. Explained the breakdown, and added a note that her holiday inventory looked incredible in her last promo. Nothing over the top. She wrote back, "You actually read that." Next week, she upgraded her plan. More service. No negotiation. I didn't flatter people. I didn't offer fake sympathy. I just made it clear they weren't being ignored. And it wasn't just clients. Drivers started changing their preferences too. One guy, Drew, used to fight every time I gave him the Denver loop. Said the client rep was cold and weirdly intense. I called her, listened, and realized she just hated early deliveries because her kid had a therapy session. We shifted it back an hour. Next time Drew ran it, he came back with a breakfast burrito and said, "She smiled at me." After that, he asked for Denver on Fridays. They weren't dumb. They knew I paid attention. Every time I covered a route, someone would say, "Hey, ask Zelda. She knows what that guy likes." Crystal hated it. "This isn't a popularity contest." She snapped. "You're not their buddy." I looked at her and said, "No, I'm the reason they're still here." She narrowed her eyes. "Stop wasting time on soft stuff. Stick to protocols." I didn't argue. I didn't nod either. I just kept logging notes and getting results. She could pretend it didn't matter, but the calls kept coming to my line. Every call, every driver switch, every small note. It all added up. So when the annual regional meeting rolled around, I already had a pretty good idea what was coming. Big room. Free donuts. The CEO, George Langley, in his usual bad blazer and stiff smile. I sat near the back with dispatch, sipping burnt coffee and trying not to look smug. He got through the boring slides. Fuel efficiency. Shipment errors. Turnover. Then he clicked to the next screen. Bright blue chart. A line shooting up at a sharp angle. "Client satisfaction has risen 38% across the region," he said. "That's the highest jump in 6 years." People clapped. Not a full cheer, but enough. Langley went on. "Retention rates are up. We've seen multiple clients upgrade tiers. And driver complaints are down." Something's clicking. My stomach did this weird flutter. Not nerves. More like finally someone noticed. He didn't say my name. He didn't have to. Every person in dispatch turned to look at me. Even the ones who used to roll their eyes when I asked for birthday lists or dog names. Crystal didn't clap. She sat with her arms crossed, one foot bouncing hard under the table. By the time the meeting ended, I could feel her heat tracking me. I barely made it to the break room before she followed. "Let's talk," she said, teeth clenched tight. She waited until the door closed behind us. "You think I don't know what that was?" she hissed. "What? What was?" I asked, keeping my tone flat. She stepped closer. "This whole emotional manipulation act you've been pulling. It's not professional. It's not scalable. You're making this department look unstable." Clients seemed to disagree. Her jaw tightened. She pulled out a printed memo and slapped it on the table. "You're being reassigned. I want a full-year analysis of your client interactions. Every conversation, every note, every driver reroute. Format it for executive review." I stared at her. "That's a punishment." She didn't blink. "It's a performance evaluation. You wanted attention. Now you've got it." I took the paper and walked out. not a word more. Took me 3 weeks. I stayed late, ate from vending machines, dug through everything. Calls, chat logs, internal notes. I built graphs, connected client tier upgrades to contact frequency. Matched revenue bumps to follow-ups I'd sent after complaints. 60 pages, labeled, indexed. Proof. When I handed it in, I didn't even feel tired. I felt dangerous. Crystal took it like it was a stack of receipts. Didn't even say thank you. Just, I'll review this. Hope you do, I said. I turned to walk away. She called after me. Just so we're clear, this doesn't make you irreplaceable. I didn't turn around, didn't say it did, and I kept walking. The email hit my inbox the next morning. Subject line: mandatory training. Client communication refresher. Crystal had booked the entire conference room from 9 to 11. Everyone from dispatch was required. I knew it wasn't a refresher. I knew exactly what it was. Still, I showed up. Took my usual spot by the window. Second row. Crystal stood at the front. One hand on the mouse, the other tucked into her blazer like she thought she was leading a seminar at MIT. Thanks for coming, she said. Today's about improving how we communicate with clients. What works and what wastes time. She clicked. My stomach dropped. Right there on the projector. The front page of my report. The one I spent 3 weeks building. The title. The charts. The engagement metrics. All of it blown up on the screen like a middle school science fair. She didn't look at me. Let's take a look at some examples, she said. Click. Slide 2. A customer comment I logged about a shipment that arrived late during a family funeral week. Crystal read it aloud in a mocking tone. Client asked to skip Monday due to emotional stress. Confirmed and added follow-up for Friday. She looked around the room. Seriously, we're noting emotional stress now. No one laughed. Click. Another slide. Customer's kid broke leg. Give extra time on unload calls, she smirked. Who cares if the guy's kid broke his leg? Are we sending balloons now? Still no one laughed. She went on like that. 10 more slides. One note about a driver's wedding. Another about a warehouse manager's retirement party. Every single one of them she twisted into a joke. I sat frozen. Couldn't move. I caught Drew's eyes from across the room. He looked pissed. So did Pamela, one of the other associates. Crystal kept going. These are distractions, she said. This kind of hand-holding slows us down. Our job is logistics, not life coaching. Then came the final slide. A full chart I built. Revenue growth versus engagement follow-ups. She didn't say a word. Just hovered her mouse over the folder on the shared drive. I've decided we don't need this clutter anymore. One click. Delete. She turned back to the room. It's a waste of server space. Starting next quarter, we'll focus on hard metrics only. No one said a thing. You could have heard the AC humming. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to call her out. I wanted to scream. But I sat there, hands gripping the chair so tight my knuckles ached. She moved on like it was nothing. Pulled up a generic slide deck from HR about tone and emails. My ears were buzzing. My face was hot. I wasn't embarrassed. I was burning. I wasn't broken. Because I knew something she didn't. That report, that work, it wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was people, and those people still trusted me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I slipped out of the conference room like I was going to the bathroom. My phone was still buzzing in my pocket. I answered on the second ring. Zelda Winters, speaking. This is Chloe Banner, Forward Loop Logistics. Do you have 5 minutes? I stepped into the hallway. Pressed my back to the wall. You've got 3, I said. She chuckled. Fair enough. I'll keep it short. We've been following your work at Talvex. We know it's not official, but the client engagement system. That's you, right? I didn't answer. Chloe didn't wait. We've spoken to 5 vendors who renewed or upgraded this year. They all mentioned you. So did 2 drivers we just hired away from Talvex. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady. Okay, so what are you offering? Director of Client Integration. Base salary is $500,000. Profit sharing included. Flexible team. Remote optional. You build it your way. I didn't even blink. Not asking me to bring over client data. I said, nope, just asking you to keep being exactly who you are. That was it. That was the pitch. No sales deck. No 5-round interview. Just someone who saw the value without needing a chart. I nodded to no one. I accept. I'll send the contract right now. PDF with e-sign. Good. Send it. I hung up and pulled the conference room door open. Crystal was still up there, droning on about tightening communication chains, like she hadn't just lit my work on fire 15 minutes ago. I walked to the front without asking, stepped right in front of the projector light and faced the room. Quick announcement, I said loud enough to stop her. Crystal's mouth snapped shut. I am resigning, I said. Effective immediately. Half the room blinked. The other half looked like they were waiting for a punchline. Crystal laughed once. That's not how this works. You'll need to. I pulled out my phone, opened the PDF, and spun the screen toward her. Signed contract. Forward Loop Logistics, Director level. I'm gone. She reached for it like she thought she had authority. I pulled it back. I don't need your approval. From the corner, someone stood up. George Langley, the CEO. He didn't say a word. Just straightened his blazer and slipped out of the room like he wanted no part of what was about to happen. Crystal stepped forward. You can't just leave without proper offboarding. Watch me. I turned back to the team. For what it's worth, if any of you want to work somewhere people actually give a damn, you know where to find me. I didn't wait for applause. I didn't need it. I walked out, calm as hell, door swinging shut behind me. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped into Forward Loop's downtown office for the first time. Small space, concrete floors, startup energy, but every person I passed smiled like I'd already won them money. Chloe came out from her glass cubicle with both arms open. Welcome to your kingdom, she said. My office wasn't big, but the nameplate was real, and the title read, Director of Client Integration. I dropped my bag, cracked my knuckles, and opened a blank spreadsheet. 2 hours later, I had my first incoming call. Didn't recognize the number, but the name stopped me cold. Pamela Torres. The Vineyard, I answered. Hey, Pamela, it's Zelda. She laughed, loud and honest. Knew you'd pick up. Didn't even have to go through a switchboard. I smiled. What's up? Don't suppose Forward Loop's taking on any temperamental wine people who hate freight windows and love extra cushioning. No pitch, I said. You know how I work. Exactly why I'm calling. By the end of that call, we were already sketching out a custom shipping tier. An hour later, Marty, the ice cream guy. Your name popped up on my LinkedIn, he said. Had to see if you landed somewhere smart. I didn't even tell him about the new platform. He told me he wanted in. Third one was a regional pet supply chain. They'd always been lukewarm with Talvex. Never sent holiday cards. Never gave feedback. Zelda, the guy said. You're the one who remembered my dog had hip surgery last year. Rufus, I said. Black lab. Slow on stairs. Dead silence for a second. Then, how soon can we move our Midwest lanes over? By the end of week 1, I had 3 switchover calls scheduled and 2 of them already reviewing contracts. No cold emails, no chasing. Just people who found me and wanted to follow. Meanwhile, I started hearing stories from my old coworkers. The ones still stuck in that beige Talvex maze. Crystal was doing cold outreach now, using templated emails. Even changed the footer to include her direct line, which used to be some sacred thing only top-tier clients got. Didn't matter. Clients weren't responding. One forwarded her email to me and just wrote, too little, too late. Word was getting around fast. Forward Loop didn't offer discounts. We didn't do pressure sales, but people were talking. They actually listen. That phrase kept showing up in messages, in comment threads, in LinkedIn posts. Every time someone called me, they came in hot with loyalty. Already sold before I said a word. Crystal must have been spinning, watching names fall off the Talvex sheet. I hadn't poached a soul. They came on their own. They remembered birthdays, tone, care. All I had to do was answer the phone. By week 4, Chloe stopped pretending to be surprised when the numbers came in. 43%, she said, holding up her iPad. That's where we're at right now. Month over month. I was on my 3rd coffee, building out another onboarding doc. Give it another week, I said. Pamela's contract closes tomorrow and Marty just asked for exclusive routing. She grinned. You're not building a client list. You're building a fan base. She wasn't wrong. I wasn't even halfway through my first quarter and the switchovers just kept coming. The small ones, the medium ones, and then the 2 that hit hardest, the Vineyard and the ice cream distributor, both formally announced they were ending their long-term Talvex contracts. Pamela's exit email went public, a full LinkedIn post. It didn't mention names, but she thanked the person who saw me as more than a case number. Marty commented with a thumbs-up emoji and 100% agreed. Chloe walked over that afternoon and slapped a sticky note on my monitor. It just said, keep going. That same day, someone forwarded me an email from Talvex. Subject line, we miss working with you. It was signed by Crystal. I knew the format. It was a copy-paste with a few fields filled in. Name, last contact date, and one sad sentence trying to sound warm. Hope Rufus is doing better. Only problem, Rufus had passed away 6 months ago. The client had posted about it. They never responded. The next one Crystal sent had the wrong anniversary date in it. Another said happy retirement to a guy who'd only taken a 2-week cruise. It was brutal. Templated personalization that fell apart the second someone actually read it. I didn't even need to respond. The clients were doing it for me. Then came the rumors. One of my old Talvex co-workers texted me late one night. "You didn't hear this from me, but the board's getting involved." Apparently, leadership had started digging into retention reports and revenue drops and Crystal's so-called transition plan after I left. She was called into 2 emergency reviews. I wasn't in the room, but I heard enough. She told them I was poaching clients, but all anyone had to do was check the timeline. Every call I'd taken, every contract I'd signed, the clients had reached out after the public deletion meeting, some within hours, others days later. Not a single one had been contacted by me first. The data cleared me, the damage buried her. One morning I came in and Chloe handed me a printout. "Crystal's last blast," she said. It was a mass email sent to key clients offering a limited time rate drop and personal care from senior leadership. Nobody answered. That was the last time her name hit my radar for a while. The truth was, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to humiliate her. She'd done all of it to herself. I just gave people an option and they took it. I was in the middle of onboarding a chain of organic grocers when my assistant knocked on the glass. "Call from George Langley," she said. "Says it's urgent." I stared at her for a second. I hadn't heard that name in weeks. "Put him through." He came on the line all smooth and polite, like he hadn't ducked out of the room the day I quit. "Zelda, I'm hoping we can discuss a possible path forward. Didn't realize we were still on the same road." He left. That fake chuckle executives use when they're scared but trying not to sound it. "Look, Talvex has had a rough couple months. We've reevaluated certain leadership dynamics and would like to offer you a position." I leaned back in my chair, spun it slowly. "Go on." "Senior Vice President of Client Strategy. Total control over engagement systems, hiring, direction, all of it. What's the pay?" "Double your previous salary plus annual bonus and stock options." "Anything else?" "Full team." "Your call on structure." "We're willing to be flexible." I let the silence stretch, long enough to make him sweat. Then I said, "Forward Loop gave me that same control before it was trending." He cleared his throat. "I understand, but I don't think you're seeing the scope of what we're offering." "I think I'm seeing it just fine. Zelda, I'm not coming back, George." He didn't fight me. Just muttered a short, "Understood," and hung up. A month later, Talvex laid off a third of its staff. Word got out that they sold off 2 of their regional divisions to a Chicago-based firm nobody had heard of. Crystal? She didn't make the cut. Someone forwarded me a screenshot of her updated LinkedIn profile. Consultant. Organizational efficiency. Available for short-term contracts. No mention of Talvex. No mention of titles. Just a faded headshot and a quiet list of made-up wins. The same day that news hit, Chloe called me into her office. "We want to make it official," she said, sliding over a contract with a forward loop header and a title across the top. "Managing Partner, Client Division." I signed it before I sat down. That office I used to have. Now I had a floor. A full team. Real glass walls, not just stickers. I didn't have to chase people. They came to us. Every time a client sent a renewal, I knew why. Not because of pricing or perks, but because they trusted us. We remembered the name of their warehouse dog. We knew when their kid got married. We showed up when no one else did. Then the messages started. Not from clients, from my old co-workers. One line at a time. "Wish I'd followed you. You were right. Any openings over there?" I didn't gloat. Didn't have to. I just replied when I had room. And I kept building. I didn't have to burn anything down. Crystal did that herself, one spreadsheet at a time. Her obsession with process blinded her to the simplest truth. People don't stay because you follow the rules. They stay because they feel like they matter. There were no lawsuits, no public drama, no NDAs or news articles. Just doors quietly closing behind her, one client at a time. Now when I walked the forward loop floor, I didn't see rows of gray desks and dead silence. I saw pictures of kids taped to monitors, notes about birthdays, drawings from a driver's knees pinned to someone's whiteboard. Every name in our system had a note next to it that wasn't about money. It was about people. One guy in the Florida region liked lemon donuts. Another had to skip Wednesdays to take his wife to chemo. One client had a cat named Boots who always knocked over their label printer. We knew. We remembered. Every time I got one of those emails that started with, "You probably don't remember, but I did." Every single time. They thought it was inefficient. I proved it was everything. And the best revenge? I didn't need revenge. I just got too damn good to ignore.